had you heard anything about the transfer linebacker from USC to Ohio State?
I've not heard anything.
Can you help me out?
I don't know if you caught our conversation on Wednesday in the Buckeyes Live show. That's I haven't looked into it since then.
I'm trying to think of do you have the name, by the way? It was a Polynesian linebacker.
Oh my goodness, are you going to make me say that? I have to see it phonetically. It's Peo Gaoteote. That's my best pronunciation, trying to picture it in my mind.
Well, I was having a hard enough time with Henry. What was it?
As it turns out with Henry, personally, everybody had their own interpretation. I saw all sorts of and heard all sorts of enunciations on that name. And I probably overthought it myself, because there's a T-O, then there's an apostrophe, then there's an O-T-O, then there's another apostrophe, then there's an O. And I was trying to like sort all that out, where I think it's just toe. I think that's all there is to it.
Right. Well, I mean,
yep.
No, we could use a little bit of help at that position. I mean, linebacker's a bit of a concern coming into this year. And, I mean, whether it be the transfer, I mean, we've got some younger guys with potential. I think Dallas Gant is a guy that's got some potential. We'll see about Kayvon Pope and some of these other guys. But, I'm still concerned about the secondary after last year, although I think Seven Banks has some potential, and they also have some younger guys that are going to need to step up. But, yeah, the back seven of the defense is going to be the key to the season, in my view. So
there's a Vanderbilt linebacker, Dimitri Moore, who's in the portal, and I'm not going to pretend to know much about him. I'm not watching Vanderbilt football. His stat line looks good from a productivity standpoint, but again, you could be a lower caliber player playing at Vanderbilt and be a good player, but not the type player that Ohio State should be starting, and you're going to rack up tackles. So that's what he did. 2 years ago, he had 100 tackles at Vanderbilt. So he's in the portal, but I haven't seen anybody else. I think Gaoteote, I believe that he is a better prospect. At least that's what the recruiting rankings tell us.
Yeah, 4-star, if I'm not mistaken, right,
yeah.
Mark? Okay, all right. Yeah, I would love to see them pick him up. I would think he probably could start right away. Just at least where we're at right now, we could use the help, or at least use the depth. Because I think the D-line is going to be really strong again. I love our DNs. And I think our D tackles, with getting Haskell Garrett back, are going to be really good. Yeah, it's just that back seven of the defense. And as we've said, every great Ohio State defense has really good corners. So this goes all the way back to the 90s. You know that better than I do, right, Mark? So that's going to be a concern, especially, with where college football's at today.
Yeah, while Ohio State's recruiting is at its best place, arguably its best place in history, the cornerback position and the secondary as a whole should be better this year, just because it can't get any worse with those type of athletes. But after this last wave of great players left, Arnett, Fuller, Okuda, of course, who's special in that secondary? Shaun Wade was supposed to be, and is, in fairness to him, proved to be, when placed correctly in the secondary in the slot corner position. But man, there's nobody coming back who's an excellent player, who's proven at the collegiate level to be an excellent player. And that's concerning. They've got stars next to their names, to where the odds would tell you, based on the coaching and based on the talent that's been recruited and signed, that enough of them should be able to step up and become all Big Ten type players. Forget All-Americans. I don't think they've got any All-Americans in that defensive secondary, but I mean legit Big Ten players, not all Big Ten, Shaun Wade, Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year. Who in the world was voting on that? I have no idea who in the world was voting. I'm somewhat asking that rhetorically because it was Big Ten media voting on the all Big Ten various categories. And for Shaun Wade to be voted the Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year, again, to a certain extent, no fault of his, being asked to do something different, being given a different and a higher, more difficult responsibility, but he wasn't the best defensive back on the team. The media voting on all Big Ten and voting for Shaun Wade to be the Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year in 2020, even if you didn't watch anybody else in the Big Ten play, you watched no other Big Ten games and just watched Ohio State play every week, he wouldn't have been, because you would have assumed, oh, there have to be other players better. And then on top of that, if you had only watched Northwestern play, Northwestern had 2 defensive backs that were all Big Ten, arguably all America status.